Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Rob Russell, the Chief Executive Officer of AC Tours. Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself, your history and AC Tours, please.
Well, I joined the company in 2013. Up to that point, I'd actually been a hotelier for 20 years and a long-term member of ETOA, having been chased for membership by the legend of Janet Driver. So I've been a long-term supporter of ETOA and of the industry, and had the pleasure of working with AC for many years under its founders, Andrew and Caroline. In 2013, Caroline approached me to talk about wanting to make an exit, and as it was something I'd always wanted to do, I made the jump across from to own. So I bought into AC back in 2013 and have never looked back since.
And what is AC? What was AC then, and what is it now? I mean,
when I joined. Yeah, well, when I joined, AC was very much a traditional group operator. It was focused very much on the mid-range market hotels and tours going around the UK and Ireland. As I'd come from a kind of upscale hotel background, I was very aware of the general opportunities that sat within the higher end marketplace, and so we looked to diversify the business. We created more of a DMC model, breaking the business down slightly so that we had AC Tours as our group operator, and then we had created a brand called AC Lux, which is looking after our tailor-made FITs and also our incentive groups. So it meant that we had a little bit more than one string to our bow, and we were also able to expand not only our offering and our regions, so that we expanded into mainland Europe and opened an office in Paris, but we also were able to diversify the business to lengthen our seasons. Obviously, as a tourist company coming into the UK, it was very much an April to October period of time for business, and in the winter you were busy doing the rebookings. Now with the wider range and the more FIT model in there as well, we're able to actually extend that window to try and be more of a year-round operation.
And so, I mean, you managed to grow quite substantially from 2013 through to 2019. Am I right? I mean, the growth's been quite considerable.
Yeah, we've gone up from being a 7 million turnover business to a 24 million pound turnover business last year, and that was a combination of organic growth and acquisitions. We were in the fortunate position to acquire a couple of businesses where baby boomer owners had been looking for exits, and it was just being in the right place at the right time. Strategically, we've partnered with some fantastic clients, and we've also won a couple of major accounts which have really boosted the business, and it's also been a great way of acquiring talent to the business and retaining talent within the business. So we have a great team of people working within the company, and some fantastic superstars are there, and a real part of the family culture of the business.
Well, I mean, this is all fab. Well, this was all fab until about March 2020. What's happened as far as you're concerned? From my position, we've had a remarkable collapse both in demand and in terms of product. We've got nothing to sell and nobody to buy it. Apart from that, everything's fine. I mean, rather than that sweeping generalization, I mean, how's it affected you?
Well, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. I think the challenge has been that I think I speak for myself and the team of people that are still working. We've never worked harder for absolutely nothing, because all we've really done for the last what now feels like 6 months, but in practice has been 4, has been fighting fires, cancelling bookings, rebooking bookings, trying to track down refunds, trying to offer refunds, trying to get rebookings coming through, working on availability for future years down the line. Administration has just been an absolute nightmare. And I mean, whilst I appreciate all of the changes and the challenges that the government have tried to put into place, it's very much been this scattergun approach, which actually in hindsight has caused us more work than actually effectively is generating business. I mean, the latest one being the VAT change here in the UK. I've got some hotels saying to me, we're going to pass this on to you, here's take 12.5% off all the rates. Others are saying, actually, we're not going to retain it, you buy VAT inclusive rates, now you're buying 5% VAT instead of 20% VAT. So we've got a complete disparity in the marketplace, which is going to throw further confusion to suppliers who are looking to try and book to come to the UK, because they're going to be working on, are they getting reduction on rates? Are they entitled to something? Are they able to claim the VAT back? what level are they going to be able to claim back on? So this kind of scattergun approach with no real conviction of this is a decision, you have to stick to it, is just causing us more headaches than anything else. And admin and accounts processes over the next 6 to 12 months, well, assuming we get bookings, are just going to be an even bigger problem coming up, because now we've got to sell it and we've got to hope people travel. But the knock-on effect down the line is going to be another admin problem for us all to deal with.
No, I mean, I can appreciate that. The handling of this crisis has not been done with incoming tourism in mind at all. I mean, it's
no.
We're not here to sit here and moan about governments, but I think everything from the introduction of the quarantine measure through to the refusal to extend business rates relief in the UK has been really unfortunate, and it's sent out all the wrong messages in every direction.
Well, I think the difference obviously is there's the crossover as well of being a European-based company. We've an office in Paris and an office in London. What we're seeing in France is very different to what we're seeing in the UK. Across Europe, the volume of people that can get onto a coach and the stipulations of what they need to do seems to be being set by governments, and that isn't being set in the UK. So I've got companies at the moment from Germany, for instance, saying to me, if we travel across, we're allowed to leave Germany with X amount of people on it. We're allowed to travel through France with X amount of people on. What's the rule in the UK? And we don't have one. We simply don't have a policy at the moment across the country as to say what people are or are not allowed to do and how many people are allowed to be on that vehicle, etc. as well. So it's a very challenging time for us to look at it. I'm delighted to say that we had a group of tourists in Paris at the weekend. We had our first group going around Paris, doing all the sites. They were fortunate enough to, as a German national group, to bump into ZDF TV channel, who were looking around Paris to see what was happening, and they picked up an interview. So I was delighted to be exposed on German TV last night with a group of tourists actually able to travel and see the fantastic sights of Paris and enjoy it all firsthand. So fingers crossed this is the start of the new tomorrow.
Do you think that what there is, and I'm trying to be charitable here, I know, can I just say that's fantastic news that we've got people moving in Paris. I had another member ring me up and said they had a group of 50 Dutch students wanted to go to Scotland in 2 weeks' time, and could they go in a coach?
Yeah.
And the answer that we got was yes. There may be restrictions on British people in the UK, but they're not necessarily applying to foreign people. And I think from the government's point of view, it's a little bit difficult. I suppose the British attitude has been that to be fairly regulatory light, if that makes sense, if that's a word. And they've got a balance with the fact that they don't go around telling people what to do, with the fact that now everyone's expecting them to tell people what to do. And this is why we've had the confusion about face masks, for example. And we've got exactly the same problem with coaches to a limited extent. You know, this is not, they can't imagine everything, and this is not something they've got their heads around. So people think, well, maybe the 30 person rule applies. Other people feel that there should be 1 meter between everybody and the coach. And other people feel, look, it's a coach. You do what you want, rather like an aircraft. And I suppose if we were told what to do, we probably wouldn't like what we were being told. So maybe
Very true, Tom.
Maybe the situation is not quite as desperate as it feels in that respect. I think from a business point of view, it's extremely tough for you. I mean, you must be looking at, you don't have to tell me, but you would not be unique if your business was looking at an 80% downturn in traffic this year.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think 80% plus is probably an easy estimation at the moment. I mean, I feel quite fortunate that our season, we got off to a good start this year. 2020 for us, January we were up year on year. February we were up year on year before it hit. So I actually feel like we got off to quite a good start, and I've been budgeting for some kind of return to business before the end of the year. So I'm optimistic, but I've actually spent this morning talking to a couple of international DMCs. I spoke to a DMC that I know very well in Italy. This is a company that a year ago did 24 million turnover, and they're saying that this year they'll be lucky to do 200K. their markets are all the heavily hit markets that are currently on lockdown. So Brazil, USA, and India, and they just see absolutely zero. So I think that we're very fortunate at AC. We have a breakdown of around about 30 markets that are particularly strong for us. And I think that the early start we got off to this year in January, February has really kind of given us a bit of a cushion and a bit of a help to be able to manage our way through. But I have to say it's a team effort. The team at AC have been absolutely phenomenal with understanding the need to initially cut back hours. We initially cut back hours in March before furloughs or anything else came into play. We have unfortunately lost a few team members who took voluntary redundancy, and we have had to look at how we will return to work. And the team have all embraced it with an understanding that we probably won't return full time for quite a considerable amount of time, as I don't expect the business to bounce back any time before probably Q2 2021 at best. And I think that that's probably being favourable. I mean, I just think even 2021 at this moment in time is going to be a very, very tough ask.
Do you think this? I mean, let's look at 2021. Actually, before we look at 2021, let's put 2020 to bed. That's the right way of doing it. I think. Do you really think there's any chance of business in the last half of the year? And we've got huge pent-up demand. All the search engines, all the confidence indicators point to, certainly in the United States, a real desire to get out. I mean, they've been under lockdown. It's a mess. And if they're allowed to leave and they're allowed to come, there is real hunger to get out and experience something new, go to Europe, do the things they want to do. Added to which, there are going to be fantastic opportunities out there for intermediaries, because there will be, inshallah, there will be airlines flying with spare capacity, and there will be hotels with fabulously low occupancy rates. And there's opportunities there for middlemen to move in. So, there's a possibility some real business to take place in the last quarter.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head with the US market. There is a huge amount of pent-up frustration there, and there's people that have accumulated travel credits rather than cancel their trips. So the second they can come, they will. From our side, I think we are seeing we're seeing some European clients that are also desperate to travel. I've seen a number of groups that want to book for the weekend. So groups that would have traveled in the summer are deferring to travel in the winter. So I think for us, the key is making sure that the attractions are open, the hotels are open, and we can work the itineraries. I mean, there's nothing worse, obviously, than building in a very long an itinerary into the Highlands, for instance. And obviously, we know daylight hours becomes restricted in the winter, and we don't want to send these people to places where they then can't see and experience the true hospitality that we do offer.
Well, I mean, you can see the rain anytime. You're speaking as an old tour guide. It was always a bit of a potluck going around Western Ireland and northwestern Scotland. No, I appreciate low season tours in Northern Europe, unless you're gunning for a clear night with the Northern Lights, is an interesting experience. But it's there. There is daylight. There's not a lot of it. That's all. I think no, but I mean the low season scope is there. I think the interesting thing surely is that now looking at 2021 is we're looking almost at a low season scenario for a year at the moment. I mean, I can't believe people are going to be trying to fill their boots on rates next year. They need to program in for a recovery. What is the situation concerning hotel rates? Are you being given proper offers?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. We can see it coming through with different those hotels that are being very trade friendly and I've always been proactive and understand the industry, are very understanding of it. They're all obviously appreciating they've lost the business this year and they all want to claw it back. So we are seeing a combination where those that understand the trade are being friendly to us, and they are sending us, bless you, they are sending us through the pricing in the right ideas with the right plans on. You got the lawnmower now as well.
Okay, lawnmower's fine.
we're seeing the right ideas, we're seeing the right planning coming through, and we are seeing a number of properties that understand trade and want to work with trade. That said, there are still a number out there that are being led by the revenue directors and are looking to claw back these monies and this lost revenue without really understanding how they're going to do it. So there will be a big chunk of those guys that will go to flood the OTAs. And I'm sure at the end of the day, they'll get their money back in the right way, but it won't be with our customers, it won't be with our clients, it won't be on our programs.
Yeah, there speaks an ex-hotelier, guys, talking about revenue managers. Along with, anyway, neither here nor there, let's not go down that particular rabbit hole. That was very interesting insight, Rob. But I mean, there is that. We've got to look to the airlines, I suppose, to start flying again.
Yes.
Do you think there is any scope to start doing deals with airlines if they're flying again, of course?
Well, I'll be honest, I actually spent a large part of my morning this morning trying to reach British Airways to just book a couple of flights myself from some deferred vouchers, and I've been unable to get through to them to even spend any money with them. So if they won't answer the phone to any of us, I'm not sure we've got any hope of getting any bookings on airlines, but it would be, they must be absolutely desperate to get back in the air. I've spoken to a number of travel agents over on the Canada and US markets. There is capacity. There's just a huge opportunity for us to actually try and do some stimulus there and get things moving, but it's just being a very, very slow process.
We've got to wait for it to lift, really.
Yeah.
How far do you think? How far do you think the situation? I mean, do you think 21 is going to be a bridge year, or are we going to see recovery? I mean, there are two schools of thought very quickly. You've got all the pent-up demand of people who have been locked down, they want to escape. You've got all the people who had to cancel in 21, both FIT and groups. They rescheduled, so they had to cancel in 20. They rescheduled for 21, and you have all the latent demand that you would normally get in a normal year. This kind of adds up to quite something potentially quite exciting.
I mean, from my own side, I've now rebudgeted 2021, I think 7 times since lockdown started. And I started the year very cautiously thinking we would maybe do about 40% of what we did in 2019. I then started to see some signs, and I've been encouraged to start thinking that I'm budgeting for around the 50% mark. Speaking to a number of my key partners last week, they're all suggesting that they feel it'd be more like 70–75% of last year's levels. So I think that there is some cautious optimism there, that subject to what happens with this threatened second wave and subject to what happens in certain marketplaces, there is a real optimism that we could start to see some growing business. And I mean, obviously the battle now that will potentially follow is that if not all travel companies are able to survive through the winter, then there may be opportunities there for people with new business that's coming through as well. And that's a real shame that happens. I think we've all been working very, very closely together. Competition has gone out of the window to a large degree since COVID has come in, because we've all been fighting this together. And I think that certainly across the UK, the DMC owners that I know very well, we're all on a big WhatsApp group. We're sharing a lot of information. We're talking to each other, and there's a real camaraderie to make sure that the companies all survive and everyone's here on the other side of it to fight a good day together.
No, I mean, that is a slight chink of light, I think, but it's a cessation of hostilities in extraordinary times. Now, so I think you would say that, just to summarize, 2020, we're going to get small beer sometime maybe at the end of the year. 21, it's going to be much better than 20, but it will be a bridge year between 2020 and 2022. And we're going to be hoping for a degree of normality in 2022. And a lot of things have to be in place for 21 to take off. We've got to have airline lift. If the airlines are still flying at 15% capacity, we obviously can't move the people. And we really need a vaccine so people are confident of moving around, mixing and mingling with one another, because people are supposed to travel and have fun, for goodness sake. And what we've got on offer is not particularly what it normally says on the tin.
No, this whole idea of the new normal and the terminology that everyone's using of how do we get around and how do we go to a bar and go to a restaurant and go to the pub and all these things that we're famed for and we've not been able to do for months, and you suddenly go, I had my first experience of it at the weekend. I took the family out for lunch, and we were at a table in a restaurant and having to order everything on the app by scanning and then it got delivered to the table. And I mean, the human interaction touch was very, very limited to someone dropping off the drinks and leaving again. So kind of the chance for warm hospitality and the things that we're famed for, and in Ireland and Scotland in particular, where we've got these famous personalities that we want to get across to people, we really want to be able to show it. And we're going to have to find a way in this new normal of being able to do that, to showcase what's so unique about the UK, Ireland, and Europe, and what we have to offer.
Fine. Okay. Fabulous. Rob, thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, Tom.